That's Russian spell.
Hey, Danny.
Being if I'm gonna meet you.
Danny, Barbara, I think it's 7:30. We can begin.
I'm ready. I just think we need Barbara to call to order.
All board members, can you please turn on your cameras?
Bean, it's not letting me. It's saying I can't start my video because the host has stopped it.
I concur with that.
Me too.
Me too.
Vina, whoever's the host just needs to allow the video for the panelists.
Jacob, are you on here?
He wants to start video, yeah.
Can you guys try now? Because I just did it.
There we go.
Yep.
Start video? Is that what we did?
Yes, Barbara.
Oh. I don't, oh, there I am. Okay. All right, I'm called to order the February 13th meeting of the Old Bridge Planning Board. You'd all stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America,
and to the
and
republic
for which it stands, one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty,
and
justice for all.
justice for all. Okay, we have roll call, Dan?
Mr. Lennon?
Here.
Mr. Hagopian? Don't see him. I think he's absent. Mr. De Palma?
Here.
Mr. Lauer?
Here.
Mr. Renna? Do not see him. Mr. Petty? Do not see him. Miss Masella? Do not see her. Mr. McIsaac?
Here.
Mr. Brennan? Absent. Mr. Ferrara? Don't see him. And Miss Cannon?
Here. Oh, we have another member.
Yes, Dan, I think Tina just joined us.
Tina's here.
Yes, sorry about that. Had to try for my phone, the computer wasn't working.
Thank God, because that gives us a quorum.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're all set? Okay, the
Yep.
agenda for tonight, first item on the agenda is discussion, a resolution amending resolution number 21-60 to include block 10254, lot 16 as part of the study area, and authorizing the planning board to undertake preliminary investigation to determine whether block 10254, lot 16 qualifies for designation as an area of non-condemnation redevelopment pursuant to NJSA 40A:1 LSEQ. Vina, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Vina, just real quick before you start, Mr. Petty just called me. He says he could hear us, but he can't get in as a panelist.
You know what? I'm going to promote him. Let me see if it
Thank you.
is.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure that all of our planning members were on.
Recording in progress.
I think I don't see him. Is he, has he joined in as someone else? Because I see a Pauline and I see a Mac.
Let me ask him right now.
Vina, he was in as an attendee. Okay, there he is. But
Okay,
he left.
now I see him. Yeah.
There we go. I wouldn't want Joe to miss out on all the fun.
Yeah.
I'm here. Guys see me? See me?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, here I go.
no problem. No problem. So, good evening, board. This is a property which all of you are familiar with. It is the Cheesequake Farm, the farmers market that is on Route 9 between Jake Brown Road and Shoemeister Road. And if you may recall, when we did the SEGME redevelopment study and the redevelopment plan, these area on all three sides of this farm was included in the study. But at that time, the farmers market was owned by the farmer who was not interested in selling the piece. Last year, SEGME has acquired that property, and it just makes sense to evaluate this property and investigate to see if it qualifies for an area investigation study. If it does qualify, then the next step would be me coming and making a presentation to the planning board, then making a recommendation to the council to include it in the area investigation study for SEGME, and subsequently updating the redevelopment plan. I think this property is critical to the inclusion of the plan because on all three sides of this property is a commercial zone that was created as part of the SEGME plan. It is the EDO zone that was created, which will allow for retail and commercial uses. So if the property qualifies and is included in the plan, it would call for sound planning. It's on Route 9, so it doesn't make sense to exclude it. So this is just the first step. The council has requested the planning board to authorize me to investigate the property to see if it qualifies for redevelopment. And it's just one property. 10254 lot 16.
And Madam Chair, if I can just add to that procedurally wise, how it works and how we've done it in the past is the under the redevelopment law, the council adopts a resolution requesting that the planning board conduct the preliminary investigation as to whether or not the property meets one of the criteria. The planning board then would adopt a resolution, authorize the conduct of the conducting of the preliminary investigation, which is what the next step, that's what's before you this evening. That's the resolution that's next on the agenda. And then Vina would go through, do the investigation. There would be a public hearing scheduled with public notice provided, and that's when Vina would provide her testimony in support of her findings. And if the board so finds at that time that the property does meet one of the criteria, it votes and adopts a resolution recommending that the township council adopt a resolution actually declaring the property in need of redevelopment. So our role is to do all of the legwork and look into it, while it is the council who will be the one who actually makes the final determination and the designation.
Okay, so this is just to do the study to see if it qualifies as an area of redevelopment. It's not declaring what is going to ultimately be there.
Exactly.
And that would come with Vina's study and recommendations, or?
Well, that would come, actually what might be there would come further down the road. What will happen next is if the board adopts this resolution, then Vina will do the study as to whether or not it even meets the criteria. Then she'll come back to the board just with testimony as to whether or not her findings. Let's just assume for purposes that it does meet the criteria. Then Vina's testimony would support that, and then the board would then make a recommendation that the council finds that it is an area that meets the criteria as an area in need of redevelopment. There's still, even at that point, is not a plan for what would be developed there. It's just making it being eligible for redevelopment. And then the board, the township council or the township redevelopment agency will negotiate, determine what they would like to be there. They would introduce an ordinance adopting a redevelopment plan. Then that would come back to the board, and then we would discuss whether we agree, the board agrees with it or has any comments as to that redevelopment plan. That is the part that we'll talk about what would actually be developed there. But at this point, we're way ahead of that. We're just talking about whether or not it even meets the criteria.
So this is just us giving VEMA the approval to look at it.
Yes,
We haven't decided on what's going there, what's not going there, who's doing anything. It's just the
Exactly.
approval to take it to the next step.
exactly.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments from the board?
Barbara, just 1 second. Danny, please make note that Mr. Gary Hagopian joined at 7:39.
You got it.
Thank you, Barbara. You can proceed.
Okay, so is anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay, so you want us to take a vote on this?
Yes,
On
the next item on the agenda is the resolution that officially authorizes VEMA to undertake the investigation, and that would need a vote, a roll call vote from the board.
Okay,
Mr. Sedillo, do we need a motion in a second?
Yes.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Mr. Lennon,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Mr. Lauer,
Yes.
Mr. Petty,
Yes.
Ms. Masella,
Yes.
Mr. McIsaac,
Yes.
Mr. Hagopian,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Cannon.
yes. Okay, now the second resolution on the same subject is authorizing the township planner to undertake a preliminary investigation to determine whether block 10254 qualifies for designation as an area of in need of non-condemnation redevelopment pursuant to NJSA 40A:12A1 SEQ.
Actually, Madam Chair, that's what we just voted on.
Oh, well, I thought we had.
Which we just voted on.
Okay. All right, so the second item we have is the consistency review order of Old Bridge order of the township, amending chapter 250 of the code of the township of Old Bridge entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development by amending chapter 250 of the code of the township of Old Bridge entitled Old Bridge Township Land Development, and by amending 250-13 entitled Applications Generally. So Avina, do you want to
Yes.
explain that?
Sure. So, board members, I have often talked about this, that I am trying to make some procedural improvements to expedite the review process that happens in the planning office with development applications. One of which I've noticed is we are one of the very few towns, in fact, in our surrounding towns, no one really follows this procedure. We require that the checklist waivers be granted by the board, but it's an administrative procedure. It is actually waivers from checklist item. It's not design waivers that somebody's asking for. And we require that an applicant comes in front of the planning board or the zoning board with these checklist waivers. Once the board grants those waivers, which you have typically seen that I issue a memo with recommendations to you, and then you take a vote on it at the hearing. I'm trying to eliminate that process. It's I think a task that an administrative officer, which is me, can easily handle, because it does not give an applicant a free pass. It only means that we expedite the process and shorten their wait time by almost a month, because applicants are waiting for a month for the waiver hearing, and then after the waiver hearing, they're waiting for months to be heard. So this will reduce the wait time by at least a month. I think the biggest advantage to us is We are very busy. I am already booking into June for planning board, and same thing with zoning board. It will just expedite our review time. For the applicants, the advantage is they will save some money because for a waiver hearing, we have attorneys and professionals attending it, whereas it's a mere recommendation from the township planner. So that's the only change that is happening in the in that, or that's going to take place in the ordinance. And as it is, I review those waivers, I make recommendations, it will save a lot of time. And I think anything to review applications faster will always be supported by the master plan.
And Madam Chair, if I may just add to that as well, just so
Sure.
that we talked about this actually, I think at the last waiver hearing before the board is, you know, even though it would be, you know, the waivers would then be administratively handled for completeness purposes. Remember, that's just for completeness purposes. When the application comes to this board and this board determines that it needs, let's just say, you know, a parking analysis was waived for a particular site because at the time it didn't seem like it might be necessary based on the improvements. But when it goes before the board and the public hearing is going forward and it determines, hey, we actually need a parking study done for this application, the board can still require that as part of the application. So just because it's waived for checklist purposes doesn't mean the board can't require it later on as part of its review of the and hearing on the application itself. So I will also just add that in all the towns that I either represented, either as municipal attorney or planning board attorney, they all really do this on an administrative basis and doesn't require to go before the board. So this is not uncommon to be done that way.
And I just want to add one more thing too. I don't want to confuse the board members with what the design waivers are versus the checklist waivers, because this is just from the checklist items that are attached to an application form. And when I presented it to the council, I had explained to them right now, our checklist has 52 items. I think it's the longest checklist I've seen. I work with so many towns and I've never seen such a long checklist. So the next task is to reduce that checklist. There's a lot of redundancy, and also the checklist is very hyper specific, asking you for a specific scale of drawings and stuff like that. So that will be my next task, to clean that up and shorten it and only ask for what is most essential.
Okay, thank you. I personally think it makes sense because we usually go by your recommendations anyway from all the waivers, or certainly most of them. And it sounds like it could be something that should be handled administratively. Does anybody else have any comments or?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
Vina, when the application comes before a board, no matter how many waivers you've reduced, how will the board know ahead of time during our review of the application what waivers have been dismissed, for lack of a better word?
So the process I'm going to follow, because I'm working on it, what I want to do is when I do a completeness review, because recently to expedite the amount of applications I'm getting is overwhelming. And I don't know if you've heard this before, or me saying this before, I'm severely short-staffed. So what I have been doing is when I receive an application, I schedule a meeting like first thing in the morning with the engineer. I sit with the checklist, I do a Teams meeting so that I can share my screen, and I keep checking off what is submitted and what they're asking for waivers. When I issue a completeness letter, I will list, and I'm creating a new form where it says that a waiver was approved or it was denied. That form will be available, and I can circulate that to the board members if they wish to see, or it is available in the planning office anytime you ask for it. So anything that is waived, you will have preview to it. You will know. And then again, it doesn't have to be a checklist item. It could be, like Joe mentioned, a parking analysis. And the classic example is Shops at Old Bridge. When Shops at Old Bridge came to the board for approval, there is no requirement for a parking analysis. You're only required by checklist to show how many parking spaces are required and how many are provided. They don't have to show a shared parking analysis. But then at that time, we required the applicant to produce a shared parking analysis because that is a new thing. So there could be some items that pop up at the meeting that we may ask for or board members may ask for, and that the applicant will have to provide.
Okay, thank you.
No
Okay.
problem.
I
Good
have a question.
Yes.
Sure.
Excuse me, since I'm new to this, is there a copy of, or is there a list of what is on this checklist?
Yeah, it is available on the township's website, but I will be happy to email it to you.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see that, and I would love to see the other part that we're discussing, so I
Sure.
could better familiarize myself going forward of what is on there, what is not on there, or if it's, because I'm a general
Sure.
contractor, if there's anything that I see that I might think that should be or shouldn't be there, that I might be more professionally.
I'll be happy to send you the application form and the checklist that goes along, and then you can always reach out to me with any questions.
And also with whatever's on the waiver or what they have to follow, if you don't mind, I greatly
Sure.
appreciate it. Thank you
Sure.
very much.
No problem.
Okay, that's good. If anybody else wants that information, I'm sure Vina would provide it. Any other questions or comments? Okay, then we'll take a vote on that.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Casey, Mr. Lang, you were second?
Yes.
Mr. Lennon?
Yes.
Mr. Hagopian?
Yes,
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Mr. Lauer?
Yes.
Mr. Petty?
Yes.
Ms. Masella?
Yes.
Mr. McIsaac?
yes.
And Chairwoman Ken.
Yes. Okay, now on to our one and only application, 01
Chairwoman, I'm sorry to interrupt
Oh.
you, but we did miss the minutes from January 25th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we need to approve the minutes of January 25th, 2024. So is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move it.
Okay, moved by Mr. Lauer, second.
I'll second.
Okay, second. Roll call,
Yes.
please.
Mr. Lennon?
Abstain?
Mr. Hagopian?
Yes,
Mr. De Palma?
Yes.
Mr. Lauer?
Yes.
Mr. Petty?
Yes.
Ms. Masella?
Abstain.
Mr. McIsaac?
yes.
And Chairwoman Ken.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Daniel, for reminding us. Okay, application 01-2029P, Old Bridge Entertainment LLC, Zone Economic Development Opportunity, Block 8003, Lot 212-R.11, 292 Highway 516, construct second story storage area. Kenneth Pape is the attorney.
Good evening, Madam Chair.
Oh,
Excuse me.
you're here.
Peter Bowser, I'm Ken's partner.
Right.
And I'm filling in for Ken tonight. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for gathering together for this special meeting. Much appreciated on behalf of the applicant. This is the application for Old Bridge Entertainment LLC. The property is located on 516. I'm sure the board is very familiar with the property. I always remembered it as the Breakfast Club. In 2019-ish, the planning board granted an approval to renovate the structure on the property and create the new restaurant, which is subject to the application. And then, of course, there was COVID. And then during the construction process, there was an opportunity to create an office and storage on the upstairs portion of the building within the volume of the building, as our architect will describe. And then as they were going through their inspections with the building department, they said, you can't do this. You got to go back to the planning board. and tell them what you're doing. So that was what we did. We filed an application at the end of last year, got through the process, actually had a lot of the waivers that Vina was talking about earlier were granted because it's the same type of application, but we're adding that second story storage and office. And here we are this evening. So I have a very short presentation. I have two witnesses. Ron Sadowski is the applicant's engineer, and Bill Duran is the applicant's architect. My plan is to have Mr. Sadowski talk to the board a little bit about how the site is essentially remaining the same, and then have Bill describe the second floor storage. So if I could, I'll go right to Ron and ask that he be sworn, place his credentials on the record, and then share with you the site that's before the board this evening.
Mr. Sadowski, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Unmute.
You're on mute.
I do.
Okay, could you please state and spell your name for the record, please?
Ronald J. Sadowski, Sadowski.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ron, we need to do this for the record. Can you just indicate to the board that you're a licensed engineer in the state of New Jersey and a little bit about your background so that the board can accept you as a professional engineer?
Yes, I am licensed. I've been licensed. It'll be 30 years in March. And I was actually the engineer who prepared the original drawings back in 2019 for this project. I am a civil engineer, 1988 graduate of the New Jersey Institute of Technology, received my license in 1994. And as I mentioned, I've been practicing for 29 years.
So, Madam Chair, I would ask if the board would accept Ron as a professional engineer. You were also muted, Madam Chair.
She is.
Okay, I agree. We
Okay.
accept your credentials.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vina, Danny, how are we doing this? Can Ron share his screen, or do you want to bring something up so that we can look at the plan? We have just one exhibit from him to show, which is the plan that was submitted.
Jacob, if you're here, can you make Mr. Sadowski co-host, please?
I can share the screen. I have,
Okay.
there's no change, right?
That's correct, Nina. We were looking at drawing 2, which is the proposed site plan drawing. That is it.
So, Ron, if you could just describe for the board what they already know.
This is a site plan that was approved back in 2019. The improvements to the site have been completed, with the exception of landscaping and one light pole that was when the construction was underway. It was found that one of the light poles was in conflict with the sidewalk, so the applicant switched the pole-mounted fixture to a wall mount with the same wattage, same light patterns. So there has been no change to the lighting on the property. There is no landscaping at this time installed. The applicant has hired a landscaper who has come up with a revised landscaping plan, which is part of this application, part of the submission package. Outside of that, there are no changes to the site. You could see here, this area is where the proposed second floor office and storage area is. It was previously that's correct. It was previously a single story with very high ceilings.
Ron, just to clarify, there was a pre-existing front yard setback for the building. Could you just put that number on the record and indicate that it is a pre-existing condition?
Yes, it's 10.5 feet. If you are looking at the drawing, it's at the bottom right corner. It says 10.5 feet. That is the dimension from Old Bridge Matawan Road right of way to the corner of the existing building.
All right, the only reason I did that, board members, is Vina had looked back at some of her prior notes and there was a little bit of a discrepancy about what the number was. We talked today and we just wanted to make sure we put it on the record exactly what it is, and I think we're all in agreement that that is the number. Ron, there's an addition of the office, which is only to serve this existing business and storage, and there's a comment in the report just to confirm that none of the traffic patterns change. We're not modifying the restaurant or anything like that. So can you just confirm for the board that none of the previous traffic testimony would be affected by this application?
That is correct. The addition of the office, which is ancillary to the function of the restaurant and the storage, will have no impact on the parking counts or the parking requirements on the site.
All right, thank you. Madam Chair, I have no further questions for Ron. He's available to the board and any of the board's professionals for any questions they may have.
Okay, Vina, did you have any questions?
Not really. Mr. Sadowski, can you just confirm the square footage of the second floor addition? It's 2,535 square feet, correct?
I would ask if we could have Mr. Doran confirm that, since he prepared the architectural plans for that.
Sure, because I just want to confirm that the architectural and the site plan has the same square footage.
Vina, I'll make sure we ask Bill that question if that's okay with you.
Sure. Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay.
And I heard that the second floor addition will be purely for office and storage use. The applicant agrees that should the board act favorably tonight, if the second floor usage has to change, you will come back to the board.
That's an acceptable condition, and something I learned this afternoon, Vina, is also that the second floor is only accessible through the kitchen, so it's not really available for the public to get up there. Anyway, if that's a little further assurance for the board, but if there were any changes, we understand that we have to return to the board for that.
Primarily because it may impact the parking as well, because right now you are, the required is 62 and is also 62. So we would want to make sure that the applicant is agreeable to return back to the board.
Absolutely understood.
Madam Chair, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody from the board have any questions? Yes, not hearing any or seeing any hands.
When are we gonna get this rolling?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
My question, when
We're
is it?
Open
we're
it
trying,
up.
Mr. Petty. We're trying, Mr. Petty. All right, so if I could, I'll have Bill turn his camera on and his mic on and ask that he be sworn and place his credentials on the record. This is our architect.
All right, just before we do that, we do need to open it up to public of any public questions of the witness as well.
Oh, sure. I thought we would do that
Okay.
at the end. That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, we just usually do it at each witness, at this board.
Sure.
Okay. If anybody from the public would like to ask a question or need clarification, please call.
I see no raised hands.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So we'll go on to the next witness. The next,
Sorry, just need to find you on my screen. I got you. Do you raise your hand? Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're going to give this evening is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can you please state and spell your name?
William Doran, D-O-R-A-N.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
I'm
Yeah,
a
if you could just do the same
I'm
thing that.
a registered
Thank you.
architect here in the state of New Jersey since 1987. I've been in front of this board. I was the architect on record for the first application for this project in 2019. I've been in front of this board and many other boards throughout the state and have been accepted as an expert witness.
all right, we'll accept your
Thank you.
credentials.
Thank you.
Bill, like we did with the last one, could you ask Vina or whoever it is that's controlling it, which of the plans you'd like to bring up just to identify the second floor area?
The A2 drawing, which shows the second floor.
And as that's coming up, my only question to you is just identify for the board what that layout is and confirm my statements about its accessibility and the fact that it will only be used for these purposes.
That's correct. Yes, the second floor is accessible through the kitchen only. It is for the dry storage, an office area, and a staff bathroom. So that will be the only thing that this area will be used for.
And we're not changing the restaurant that was previously approved by the board, the seating capacity, anything like that, none of that's
That's
being
correct.
modified.
Seating capacity stays the same.
That's really, really short, but it was really, really important. So Mr. Duran is available to the board for any questions that they may have, and certainly the public, but that's the extent of it.
Okay, does anybody from the board have any questions? No. I'm just curious, you said before this was proposed that it was just a really high ceiling.
Well, Madam Chairman, I almost said that, but I wanted to keep my mouth shut. So there were a couple of statements from different people that this was a second floor addition. It's really not an addition to the building. This second floor was captured within the volume of the existing buildings. So yeah, there were such high ceilings that the contractor on the job said, "Oh, let's capture this space for some extra storage," which he did, and here we are. But in the end, yeah, if we were standing outside the building and looking at the building from Route 516, it wouldn't look any different than it did 2 years ago. It wasn't added on to or anything. All this, I would call it recaptured spaces within the volume that was there originally.
Okay, thank you.
And
Anybody
Peter,
from-
just to answer Vina's prior question, the total square footage for the second floor?
Oh, thanks, Bill. Thank you, Joe.
2535? Is that what it was? Vina?
You're muted.
Yes.
Yes, 2535.
So we have that on record. Thank you, Joe.
Okay, anybody from the board have any questions or comments regarding this testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to say that I made a little field trip out there. It looks very nice. But I did see landscaping that was started. Looked like trees, and that's about it. But the building did look very nice.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Lauer.
Quick
Okay,
question about
well,
the
we'll open it to
application.
the public. Is anybody from the public?
Ms. Masella.
I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just quickly. So this wasn't part of the initial application? Was it because, like you said, your GC noticed an opportunity after the project had started?
That's correct.
And that was driving the oversight?
That's
Okay,
correct.
Yes.
thank you.
Chairman Cannon, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, Mr. Doran, I noticed that the height did change from 20.4 to 22. So, how did that happen? I mean, I heard you say that it was part of the volume was part of the existing building.
I would say that is a matter, so it was hard to measure exactly where the existing building, when we first got involved in this project back in 2019, we measured the building. It was really hard to determine exactly where the heights were. So, but just recently, we've been able to do that a little easier. And I just wanted to get it exactly right so that in case it became an issue. Yeah, so I think there's a discrepancy of 1.5 feet from the original drawings to these drawings, but it didn't have anything to do with any increased construction. It had more to do with the way we were able to measure it.
Sure, I was just curious, not that it does not comply with the zones or.
Yeah, we're still way under the allowable.
That is correct.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. So we'll open it to the public if anyone has any questions or comments regarding this testimony.
I see no raised hands.
And Madam Chair, maybe at this point, we can also just open it up to save time, open up for general public comment on this application as well. So if there's, at this point, if anyone has any, general comments or what provides testimony on this application, they can do so now as well.
Okay.
Mr. Sordillo, while we wait for that, I did notice Mr. Brennan had joined in late. Can we still allow him to vote on this application?
Yes, I did. I noticed he actually joined before the application started. It was right when we were starting the application, he joined in. I was going to make a note of that at the end when I made my summary, but yes, thank you for pointing that out.
Okay.
Mr. Brennan is eligible to vote on this because he was here for this application.
Okay, thank you.
We have no raised hands.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody from the board have any questions or comments regarding this application?
No,
Yes,
I think.
I just had one quick one on the new area there. Obviously, you upgraded the sprinkler system up there as well, and what like weight limits will be impressed on that storage area? If you're putting like 900 cases of wine up there, that's a little heavy, just things like that.
Yeah, the second floor was designed for commercial use. So we've met the building code for that, and definitely the sprinkler system has been extended into that area. And that's all going through which will all be approved by the building department, right? Once we get through this process, our next step would be to get building permits. So your building department will look at our weight loads, our sprinkler system, our exiting system, all of that. Actually, we just finished those drawings today, and we're trying to get them into your township to get reviewed. So it'll all be approved through the building department.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board?
My only comment was, I think the residents will be happy. I know it's the talk of the town trying to get that open. Folks that especially live on that side. I've got a couple calls. I actually got a call last week. When is it opening? Blaming the town. So I think it's good that we're getting this going. Good luck. Hopefully everything's smooth over now. We can move on and get that restaurant finally open.
It's been vacant for so long. I think it's about time that we step up and help them out.
Yeah.
And it is
Valentine's Day tomorrow.
Oh, there you go.
You can get it open tomorrow. God bless you.
There you go. And I was just going to say, we thank you for all your help in trying to get us to the finish line.
Yep, absolutely.
I think we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So
We want to let everyone know that Vina's been amazing. Town council, the building department, you always hear two, three sides of a story. We're the reason because of the delay, and we take full responsibility. Everything's in the past. We're here. We want to open. We're excited to open. And next year, let's celebrate Cinco de Mayo together.
sounds good.
Let's put that on, make sure that it's on the record. He blamed himself.
And I just wanted to comment, as a resident of this town for many years, I remember way back when it was a little go-go place. And so we've all been looking forward to this happening, and the sooner the better.
Big upgrade, right, Barbara?
Right.
We promised
several other stages, but
the inside's going to be more gorgeous than the outside, landscaping, everything. We're already donating to the local, the soccer club and the baseball and the synagogue. So we're going to be great neighbors. We're going to have a great relationship. And, we appreciate your time today, and especially on a snow day. And thank you very much.
Okay, we look forward to being part of it. I'm sorry, that's my dog.
Somebody's excited.
Does anybody else have any comments or questions?
Your dog agrees.
Yeah.
Motion to adopt the new office.
Oh, if I could just to summarize, a motion to approve will be granting preliminary and final site plan approval for this application, the amended application. There was, just so the record's clear, one condition that was agreed upon during the public hearing, that the applicant or property owner will come back to the board if the use changes for the second floor, so that the board retains jurisdiction in case any change of use to make specifically with regard to concerns over parking. Other than that, it will just follow the standard conditions of complying with the reports of the township and just our standard conditions of approval.
Okay. So do we have, if there's no other comments from the board, do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Okay,
I'll-
moved.
Second.
Okay, and second?
I'll second it.
And seconded by Mr. DePalma. Roll call, please.
Mr. Leonard,
Yes.
Mr. Agopian,
Yes.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes.
Mr. Lauer,
Yes.
Mr. Petty,
Yes.
Ms. Masella,
Yes.
Mr. McIsaac,
Yes.
Mr. Brennan,
Yes.
and Chairwoman Kent.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Yes.
And have a
Thank you
good
very
evening.
much.
Okay, you're very welcome. Okay, and then I guess we have, if there's any general public comments regarding, I guess, anything on the meeting or anything.
Yeah, anything within the board's jurisdiction.
Relating to
Just
the
can't be
board.
on a specific application.
Yeah.
No raised hands.
Okay, then we'll look to adjourn. And are we still doing the executive session?
No, the executive session will be on for the next meeting, the February 22nd. We're going to have the
Oh.
following executive session.
Oh, okay.
So no executive session tonight.
All right, good. All right, do we have a motion to, unless anybody from the board has any comments or?
No, just one thing, Barbara. Casey,
Yeah.
great job today with the snow.
You did.
Thank you.
Plowed in my driveway a little bit, but that's okay.
Uh-oh.
Ah,
Plowed in
there
the
you go.
driveway, Case. You're in
Maybe I
trouble.
take that back. I'll motion to close the meeting.
I'll second it before Casey gets in trouble.
All right.
Valentine's Day, everyone.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you, Casey.
Thank
Been a
you.
long time.
See you in a few weeks.
Great night.
Okay, take care.
Good
Night,
night.
everybody.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Oh, you got that email, right?